Yo, what's up, guys? Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Caster, one of the HCS commentators, analysts, and grassroots content creators, and we have another HCS report where today we're going to be breaking down HCS Charlotte, and let me tell you, this event had... This event was absolutely crazy. It had a ton of storylines, and we're going to get right into it. Let's go all the way back to pool play, where things kind of started, really. Pool play went a little bit crazy here. We'll break down everything. Pool A, Shopify Rebellion, 3-0. I don't think anybody's really truly surprised by that too much. I think Shopify Rebellion, best team in the world right now. Absolutely incredible. I don't see a world where anybody's really surprised that they ended up finishing their pools number one. TSM looking extremely good as well. Ended up going 2-1. They finished second place in pools. And then Akave Esports, number one team out of Mexico, coming in and showing off and showing out, even beating a well-prepared Complexity roster, and one that maybe we were prepared to see maybe some upsets within their pools. Complexity actually wasn't even able to make it out of pool play and finished off top 16. Congratulations to Akave Esports. We'll talk about them even more. And then in pool B, business as usual, Mind Freak end up number one, coming out of pools into bracket play, even over Optic Gaming. Nobody really surprised by that. We'll kind of just talk about pool C. Nah, I'm just kidding. Yo, what the freak, bro? Oh my gosh. The boys from Australia come over to America, and Barcode and the boys came in and raised hell. Half mouse and keyboard, half controller roster, and all badasses for sure. They came in and not only beat Imagine and Omit, who, let's be honest, are probably the two weakest teams that were in pool play outside of the open bracket teams that joined them. Akave Esports and Mindfreak, by the way, both open bracket teams. Mindfreak come in, go crazy over Majin and Omid, and then even beat out Optic Gaming, which was insane. Mindfreak went 3-0, and we're your number one team coming out of pool play, out of open, and against a back-to-back LAN champion. My mind was freaking blown, and I was freaking out. And I guess that's why we see Mindfreak doing so well. And by the way, that was one of two consequences that ended up happening because of Luminon Gaming and their decision to forfeit their qualifier. Think about it. Luminon Gaming should have been in Pool B, and would you really have had Mindfreak beating both Luminon Gaming and Optic in the same pool? I'm sure one of them would have gotten a win, which could have changed things dramatically. But again, Luminon Gaming did forfeit and ended up in Pool C, which was our pool of death going in before we knew Mindfreak was going to just go insane over everybody. By the way, Majin finishing third place, by the way. So you had two international teams in the same pool making it out of pool play. I think that was actually interesting to mention right then and there. But Pool C, you have FaZe Clan finish out first with 3-0. Cloud9 pulling off a bit of an upset against Luminon Gaming. Luminon Gaming specifically forfeited their qualifier to end up in this pool on purpose to go up against a FaZe and a Cloud9, and they end up coming out of pool play, but they came out of pool play as the third seed. Really, really surprising stuff to see right there. Luminon Gaming come out of pool play in the lower bracket, going to championship bracket. Meanwhile, Legion Gaming come out of open bracket and were not able to get a win in pool play. And a lot more also happened with this roster, which I guess we'll talk about probably a little bit later on, I guess. Ooh, that's gonna be fun. But yeah, Pool C, very interesting in the fact that Luminon Gaming finished out third place in their pool. Meanwhile, in Pool D, Space Station Gaming finished out in first place over Envy, who I actually had Envy as the favorites in that matchup, but Space Station Gaming get it done on LAN. Big win for Space Station Gaming. Unreal Nightmare are able to take that tertiary spot when Dark Inside come out of open bracket were not able to make it through. Only, half of the teams from open bracket made it into championship bracket, which to me, really surprising. Both Mindfreak and Akave Esports gotta show them some love with coming out of open bracket, making things happen, and kind of showing us once again why we kind of love the format that Halo has in esports versus some other esports that have a little bit more of an enclosed ecosystem. You can go into the open bracket, you can raise hell, you can play with the pros, and you can even upset the pros come out of open bracket. It's really like a kind of like a dream come true kind of scenario. Like if you got the skill and you put in the work, you can make it out of being an amateur. And we've seen a lot of, if not most of the players from today's game who started off in the open bracket had to make a name for themselves. So one thing that we truly, truly love about Halo Esports. We move on to bracket play, and already 6 minutes down. God bless, I be yapping. Okay, bracket play. Let's make things interesting. Shopify and Optic Gaming. Oftentimes a grand finals matchup that we see between these two teams. Optic Gaming, back-to-back LAN champions from the lower bracket, might I say, two Miracle Runs. They go up against Shopify Rebellion once again in the first round, end up losing out, end up right back in elimination bracket round one, where again they ended up twice before they won back-to-back lands. Optic Gaming have been in that situation before. Shopify Rebellion once again showing that they are the best team in the world by beating who many consider the second best team in the early rounds. Space Station Gaming 3-1 over Cloud9. Lots of ups and downs when it comes to Space Station Gaming, but no matter what, they were the favorites against Cloud9, and they get the job done. Space Station Gaming able to move on. FaZe versus Envy goes to a game 5. FaZe were able to advance forward to play up against TSM in the semifinals, where Envy, although they take another team to a game 5, once again, wasn't able to get it done. Envy need to find a way to close out these close games, but a very good Envy roster. Eventually, Mind Freak maybe ran out of steam coming off a pool play. Maybe emptied the tank a little bit because they come in and TSM were able to pull off the 3-0 sweep. They would get a chance down at the lower bracket. We'll follow them some more. Mind Freak, incredible Friday, but we want to see what they were able to do on Saturday as well. That brings over to semifinals. Shopify Rebellion, the World 2 and Frosty led Shopify Rebellion 3-0. Stellar, Eco, and Space Station Gaming to get into your winners bracket finals. Shopify Rebellion with a real deal. Space Station Gaming, although pretty damn good this weekend, weren't able to get the wins versus Shopify Rebellion. They're knocked down a bit lower than expected, or lower than they wanted to be, I'm sure. FaZe 3 over TSM. I think TSM had the ability to win this matchup, but I don't think many would say they were like quote unquote surprised by TSM getting 3-0'd. FaZe, not only a very good team, but they've been putting in the work to get better and better, and they still were the favorites in that matchup. I can't say I'm super surprised by that. Maybe I would have thought TSM would have took a game or two off of them, but FaZe are the favorites, and so was Shopify Rebellion on their way to 3-0ing FaZe in the winners bracket finals, where they would send FaZe down to the lower bracket, who are one series away from making it to the grand finals and potentially getting their revenge. Shopify Rebellion, your favorites to win the tournament, as they only had to win one more series in a best of 7, when the enemy team who comes out of the lower bracket would have to win 2 series, bringing us down to the lower bracket, where Optic Gaming 3-1 Luminon Gaming. Unfortunate for Luminon Gaming to run into Optic Gaming so soon, and this was their only matchup in bracket play, but it was also a consequence of your own choices. You chose to forfeit your qualifier to end up in Pool C. You weren't able to get it done against Cloud9, and by the way, you also were able to beat FaZe, I would say, as well, and you didn't get that done. So I feel like, again, just a consequence of your own choices. Luminon Gaming, unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Optic Gaming advance forward. Luminon simply don't. Cloud9, who pulled off a great upset against Luminon Gaming. Cloud9 find themselves getting 3-2'd by Akave Esports. It wasn't just Complexity that got upset and lost their spot. Cloud9 also losing their spot to the number 1 team in Mexico. Vamos! Akave Esports, as they advance forward, giving them the highest placing that I know of, maybe tying with the highest placing that a Mexican team was able to get in the HCS. This is top 8 right now, so absolutely huge for team, Akave Esports of Mexico. Meanwhile, NV3 over Majin. I like Majin Club, but they were one of the weaker teams from pool play, and the fact that they even made it out was really good. I like Envy. I like Majin. I love Envy. Envy advance forward. Mind Freak with the 3-2 over Unreal Nightmare. That's a big win for Mind Freak, considering Unreal Nightmare have a very good balance of experience and like kind of a young gun firepower to them. That was a very surprising matchup for Mind Freak to win out, and Mind Freak kind of picking up exactly where they left off in pool play, dominating and giving them their best seed for our Australian team. We had Mexico and Australia's top seed, or I guess top placing that they've ever got for their respective countries by Akave Esports and Mind Freak. Sadly, their journey would end here because Optic Gaming 3-0 to Akave Esports and NV3 won Mind Freak. And with the massive improvements that both of those teams have made so far, whatever next year holds, I kind of want to see more from them, to be honest with you, bro. Especially Mind Freak. Like, the idea of a half mouse and keyboard and half controller roster doing what they did, you have to think, would that change the meta? I don't know. Meanwhile, Optic Gaming with the 3-0 over TSM. Again, I like TSM. I love Optic Gaming. They have the capability to beat anybody in the league, but they also have the capability of losing to anybody. And that includes Optic Gaming. TSM get knocked out in top 6, which is still not the end of the world. Get knocked out in top 6. Considering their road wasn't easy, I would say. Congratulations to TSM. Who did you lost to? You lost to FaZe and you lost to Optic Gaming. 2 of the 3 best teams in the world. Like, there's nothing to be upset about. Where SSG and Envy would match up another time, and again, SSG able to get the best of Envy on land. We've seen Envy in this very matchup win multiple times, maybe even more times than expected against Space Station Gaming, but on land, and where land is king, Eco, Stellar, and the SSG roster get it done against Envy, but we're not able to get it done against Optic Gaming, who 3-0 swept them. A competitive sweep, I feel like we kind of use that term or that phrasing a lot, but it's true. It was a fun series, but one that Optic Gaming ended up winning, and again, no surprise there. But what I will say I am surprised about is FaZe 3-2 Optic Gaming denying them yet another grand finals here. Optic Gaming, who went on 2 miracle runs, and the way things were going, their warpath onto the elimination bracket finals, it looked like Optic were about to pull off yet another miracle run, but they were stopped by FaZe in a Game 5. FaZe Clan doing the damn thing. And man, was it exciting to watch. Optic Gaming take them to a Game 5, but not able to get the win. FaZe pull off the upset. And for those boys, it meant a lot. I didn't even know I could do that. This whole time I could be clicking up. Bro, you gotta be kidding me. I did not know I could click on them like that. The whole time. And it tells you, oh my gosh. But this matchup meant a lot for the FaZe boys. When Trippy got up and pointed at Optic Gaming, there was so much emotion there. Obviously, let's not beat around the bush. Lucid, Penguin, and Trippy are former teammates of Formal. There was some words that were said with their breakup. Things obviously didn't go their way, and feelings got hurt. It got personal, and you could tell that this win right here meant so much for FaZe. The emotion just bursted out of them on the stage, and it was incredible to watch. Meanwhile, Optic Gaming, and I think the drawing board a little bit here, they end up bowing out in 3rd place, which brings us to our grand finals, where Shopify Rebellion, who already 3-0'd FaZe, would once again match up against FaZe in the grand finals, and FaZe take one game out of 5, but Shopify Rebellion take the other 4, and it's a 4-1 1 finish for Shopify Rebellion, and who become your back-to-back champions. 2 majors for Optic, 2 majors for Shopify Rebellion, but also 2 very big invitational, $50,000 invitational within the FaZe Kson event, and also the Shopify Rebellion LA event that have gone Shopify Rebellion's way, the LVT Pro League, excuse me, sorry, have gone Shopify Rebellion's way. But as far as majors go, it's 2-2 right now. And I guess World is going to be that ultimate tiebreaker between Shopify Rebellion and Optic Gaming, which, speaking of Worlds, we see now what the pools are going to be. Pool A, Shopify Rebellion, Kave Esports, Luminon Gaming, and Legion Gaming. We'll talk about Legion Gaming. We'll talk about them in a second, I guess. Pool B, FaZe, Mindfreak, Cloud9, and SWAT Latin America. Pool C, Optic Gaming, TSM, Complexity, Unreal Nightmare. Where Pool D, Space Station Gaming, Envy, Omit, and Majin Club. We will talk about these squads. We'll talk about these squads very soon. We'll do like another prediction stream and whatnot. We'll have fun with that, I promise you. And I guess I can't. We'll probably make a separate, I guess maybe short about this, but I guess we can't not talk about the Legion Gaming stuff. So I'm sure as you guys probably already know by now, Legion Gaming, unfortunate situation where Gunplexion and Despiteful got into a bit of an altercation. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know the full story. I do not. What I will say is, I guess, a little bit of background. You know, Despiteful and Gunplexion have seemingly never liked each other. And it has definitely been very public with the jabs that were thrown both ways. And I've seen a lot from Despiteful on Twitter. Now, from what I hear, Gunplexion was also, you know, big on it on his stream and whatnot, and it's just going back and forward. And it seemed like more than a matchmaking beef. You know, it got personal. You know, it got personal for real. And while at the event, there's a video out there if you want to find it. Yeah, you know, I guess we can't really talk about it without. Okay, can we really talk about it without bringing up the video? I guess we got to bring up the video here. Let's see if we can find it real quick. So it's a minute long.
Right now to apologize. I'm gonna give you one final chance right now to apologize because I'm been around the new league. But yeah, fuck my apology. Go clip grandma again, bro. Come on, let's go. Fucking clip grandma again, bitch. Come on, bro. What do you got? What do you got, Mikey. Get the fuck.
I don't think any punches or anything were thrown, so I'd have to pause it for that. A little bit of a shove.
Come on, let's go. You ain't slapping shit, bro. Go make more grandma clip videos. Oh, we're going outside. You didn't slap anything, bitch. He's a little bit. Yo, come.
I feel like they didn't even know what was happening until for a little while until they realized that it was getting a little bit crazy. Obviously, Gunplexion, Despiteful, again going back and forward for quite some time. It got personal. It spilled over into in real life at the actual event itself, and yeah, it seems like Gunplexion might not be able to compete at the Halo World Championship. So, you know, to tell this story, you know, you think about Gunplexion and his career. You know, he was you know, had a bit of a bad rep for a while. But I feel like the whole aura around him changed in Halo Infinite. People started to love him. You know, they called him the people's champ and whatnot. Like, all of that stuff that was in the past was left in the past. And he was making a new name for himself. You know, the pros were recognizing it. The viewers were recognizing it. He was well loved and probably still is. And you think about the story of him not being able to make it to the pros, but always felt like he's had the talent, always felt like he's worked hard, has wanted this his whole life, dedicated blood, sweat, and tears type of stuff to get to this moment. You finally get a squad that you're able to make it out of the open bracket. And it's like the one time you do it 4 years in, weren't able to do it, but that one time you're able to do it, it's to qualify for the Halo World Championship where you can compete for $1 million, for your share of $1 million, where even if you got knocked out in 16th place, we're not saying that would happen. I'm just saying, even if it was to happen, you would still be guaranteed a prize pool, at least a piece of that prize pool. And all of that goes down the drain because of, 40 seconds? That is an unfortunate end to that story, because that story could have been beautiful. That story could have been beautiful, and that was unfortunate. And I'm not saying that it's all Gunplexion's fault. I'm not even saying it's all Despiteful's fault. You guys hear me always say, in an argument, there's always like 3 sides to every story. You got one side, the other side is somewhere in the middle is the truth. Everybody has their truth. But I'm thinking about it from Gunplexion's side because of the fact that you qualified for Worlds. And I was like, wow, that is a very, very tough way to end that story. But that's what it seems like. No official word has been announced just yet, but the team was Zuzi, Uzi, Little Gators, and Gunplexion. Jagged Cloud is the coach, and you notice Gunplexion's name is not here, and instead the coach's name is there, which makes you believe that he might not be able to attend Worlds because of this incident. And maybe not necessarily this particular video, but maybe other CC TV video stuff that's around, because I'm sure there's cameras around everywhere. I'm sure they had this video, but I'm sure they had other cameras as well, so you're able to see most of the situation, get everybody's side. And it seems like it might have been determined that he may not be able to compete or attend Worlds. So again, like I said, I don't know the whole situation. I'm just sharing from what I'm able to view. I'll keep you guys updated while things continue to go on. And that is your HCS report. Yeah. hate to end it like that, but we are. If you're watching live on Twitch, hey, yo, let's talk. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the live chat. If you're watching on the YouTube, what up, YouTube? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys feel about the whole Charlotte, all of Charlotte, the good, the bad, the ugly, the sexy. Let me know how you guys feel. And until next time, I'll catch you later.